Alright, welcome back to Every Day I Race. Today we're going to talk about suspension. Once again, we're going to talk about sprung weight, unsprung weight, and hybrid weight. We're still trying to figure out what spring to use for this bike. So that's the only way to find out. We talked about small pieces of information in many videos, and then at the end we're gonna use the knowledge that we learned from previous videos and then combine them all together to see the whole big picture. So a couple of days ago I decided to weigh my bike empty and fully loaded with me on it, and here's what I came up with. First, I weighed the bike empty. I put scales under the back tire and under the front tire because I needed to know exact weight. And the front wheel was 250 pounds and the back wheel was 155 pounds. For a total of 405 pounds, which is not too bad. So I'm still gonna add a few pounds here and there, but you know, it's not gonna make that big of a difference. Then I sat on the bike, put my gear on, and the results were the front wheel was 355 pounds and the back wheel was 240 pounds. So the whole total mass or total weight of the bike was 595 pounds, which is not too bad. You know, I was shooting for about 550, but it is what it is. So let's talk about sprung, unsprung, and hybrid weights. Why do we exactly need to know which one's which? Well, it's real simple. Let me show you an example of a sprung weight. Sprung weight would be frame, engine, turbocharger, fairings, subframe. The things that move with the suspension basically is a sprung weight. Now unsprung weight would be the wheel, the tire, the sprocket, brake rotor, and a caliper. So for me to figure out correct spring rate for the spring, I need to know unsprung, sprung, and the hybrid weight. So what is a hybrid? Well, hybrid would be things like the swing arm, chain, fuel cell, fuel lines, fuel filter, brake line that I don't have right now, and shock, linkages, things like that. And usually it's not the whole amount of weight. The reason I call them a hybrid is because part of it is actually sprung, moves with the chassis, and the other part moves with the wheel. Let me make an example. Like the swing arm, it's mounted to the frame, so when the chassis is moving up and down, it's actually carrying the weight of the swing arm, but not the whole thing, just part of it. Like the part that's here is moving with the wheel, so it's sort of like unsprung weight. So usually it's 50% weight for the hybrid. So like the chain, if it weighs like 15 pounds, it would be 7.5 pounds for unsprung weight and 7.5 pounds for sprung weight. Let's say if I look at this fuel cell, it's not really halfway between the rear axle and the pivot for the swing arm. So I'd say it's pretty close to 55% being of sprung weight and 45% being unsprung weight. So, but and the same thing with the shock. There's going to be like 50% of it, because the weird as it sounds, but the shock actually has to hold its own weight, or at least half of it. So, how do you find out the unsprung and hybrid weight? Because we already found the total weight of the bike. So I thought about it, and I had one option. I could have taken the wheel off, sprocket, chain, swing arm, shock, all the linkages, put them on the scale and figure out exactly how much they weigh. But I decided to do the easier way. Basically, what my plan is to do is that I'm gonna remove the top bolt from the shock, so the suspension's gonna there's not gonna be any tension from the shock. It's not gonna be connected to the bike. So I'll be able to move it up and down. I'm gonna lift the bike on my good old jack. Then I'm gonna lift the wheel and I'm gonna put a scale under it. So let's get it done. First I'm gonna lift the bike up. Alright, I got the jack in. Let's go ahead and lift the bike. Okay, the wheel is off the ground. Next I'm gonna remove a shock bolt. Removing the shock bolt. So now the suspension, basically, it's under its own weight. It doesn't have any weight of the motorcycle. So next I'm going to put the scale under the wheel, under the tire. Alright, so I got my scale under the tire right at about 37 pounds. So that's pretty good information. Okay, so I measured all the weights. We've got the total weight of the bike. We know all the weights that's pushing on the front and rear tire. We know how the bike is with the rider on it. We know the hybrid and unsprung weight of the bike was 37 pounds. So now the next step is we're going to calculate correct spring for the bike. So that's going to be in the next video. So thank you guys for watching, and come back for the next video.